Most people make the noise of progress without ever truly progressing. But the great secret of life is this: real growth happens quietly, steadily, without the need for applause. If you wish to build a life of significance, do not wait for recognition. Build yourself quietly, until the results speak louder than any words. Ladies and gentlemen, today I'd like to talk with you about something few consider, yet it is the foundation of lasting success. It is the principle of building yourself quietly. We live in an age of noise, of constant display, of seeking recognition before the roots of progress have had a chance to deepen. But the truth is eternal. All great structures are built in silence, long before they are admired. The tallest tree once grew unseen beneath the soil, gathering strength where no eye could see. So it is with you and with me. There are 6 ways to build yourself quietly, and if followed, they will set you apart from the crowd. The first way is through discipline. Discipline is the master craftsman of life. Without it, every dream remains only a sketch on paper. Discipline means doing what must be done, even when no one is watching, even when no applause is given. The second way is through study. A man who does not learn daily slowly declines, for the mind is like a muscle. It must be stretched, challenged, and sharpened. Read, listen, observe. Every day, feed your mind with ideas that elevate you above the ordinary. The third way is patience. Nothing worthwhile is built overnight. A seed planted today does not bear fruit tomorrow. Yet, those who water their seeds with quiet faith and steady work will one day enjoy the harvest. The fourth way is restraint. True strength is not shown in how loudly one can boast, but in how calmly one can hold back. Do not announce every plan, every step, every thought. Keep much to yourself. Allow your results, not your words, to reveal your growth. The fifth way is consistency. Too many begin with fire and fade into smoke. Greatness is not found in sudden bursts of effort, but in steady, unbroken commitment. Consistency may be quiet, but it is unstoppable. The sixth way is humility. Pride seeks attention, but humility seeks improvement. A humble man grows, for he listens, adapts, and learns. A humble man builds himself so quietly that the world is astonished when his greatness appears. Growth is silent, but its effects are visible, for true progress rarely announces itself with fanfare. It begins quietly, often unnoticed, in the hidden corners of life where effort meets consistency. A seed germinates in the darkness of soil without noise or spectacle, yet in time it pierces the earth and reaches for the sun. So it is with personal development. The work you do in silence, the extra hour of study, the small discipline of rising early, the restraint in choosing long-term gain over immediate pleasure, may not draw applause in the moment, but eventually it shows itself in ways too powerful to ignore. People may not see the nights you stayed awake refining your craft, but they will see the skill with which you perform. They may not notice the battles you fought within your mind, but they will see the calm strength in your character. The beauty of silent growth is that it teaches patience and resilience. In a world that constantly demands results overnight, you become different when you accept the natural rhythm of growth. You understand that real transformation cannot be rushed. A tree cannot be forced to grow faster simply because we are impatient. Its strength comes from time, from enduring the seasons, from holding firm in the face of winds. In the same way, the quiet growth within a person, whether it is in wisdom, discipline, or character, requires time, and while the world may remain unaware, the results will emerge when they are ready. Silent growth also protects you from the dangers of seeking approval too soon. When you broadcast every effort before it matures, you run the risk of building for others instead of yourself. True growth does not need to be advertised because its fruits are undeniable. The student who diligently learns in silence does not need to announce his hours of study. His mastery speaks for him when the test arrives. The athlete who trains alone, away from applause, does not need to boast of his discipline. His performance on the field will reveal it. Another quiet truth about growth is that it reshapes the person inwardly before it reveals itself outwardly. You may not see immediate changes in your life, but within, new patterns are forming. Your thoughts sharpen, your habits strengthen, your vision becomes clearer. Like the roots of a tree, these changes are invisible to the eye but essential for stability. Without strong roots, no tree can stand tall, and without silent growth, no success can endure. Growth is silent because it works best when it is free from distraction, when it is given the space to mature without interruption. Yet the effects of this growth cannot remain hidden forever. Sooner or later, the world will see the evidence, the confidence in your step, the clarity in your decisions, the excellence in your work, the calm in your presence. What was once unseen becomes undeniable, for growth, though silent, always makes itself visible in time. Discipline creates freedom, because it is the structure that allows life to flow with order instead of chaos. At first, it may appear like a set of chains, a restriction that binds you to routines and rules. Yet the truth is the opposite. Discipline is the quiet architect of liberty. Without it, a person becomes a prisoner to impulse, drifting wherever desire or distraction may lead. But when discipline takes root, life gains direction, clarity, and strength. The man who practices discipline commands his time, while the undisciplined man loses it to waste. The disciplined individual is free to move forward with purpose, while the one without discipline is enslaved by regret. When you rise at the time you planned, when you finish the task you promised yourself you would complete, when you deny the temptation that weakens you, you are not giving something up, you are gaining control over yourself. That control is the purest form of freedom. A soldier who masters discipline does not live less freely because of his training, he lives more freely because he is prepared for challenges that would crush the unprepared. A musician who practices scales endlessly does not sacrifice freedom. Instead, she earns the freedom to express herself with grace on her instrument. Discipline also creates freedom by unlocking consistency. Every repeated action, performed faithfully, compounds into mastery. The runner who trains daily builds stamina that allows him to run further and faster than those who quit after the first burst of effort. The writer who sits to write each day, even without inspiration, builds the freedom to express thoughts clearly and powerfully. Freedom is not the absence of order, it is the presence of strength earned through order. Without discipline, desires rule the mind and short-term pleasure dictates long-term outcomes. But with discipline you reverse the rule. You take command of your choices, and in doing so, you free yourself from the slavery of impulse. To refuse discipline is to accept dependence on moods, on circumstances, and on chance. To embrace discipline is to become self-reliant, knowing that you can trust yourself to act as you must, not merely as you feel. There is also a deeper freedom discipline provides, the freedom to pursue what matters most. A disciplined man does not waste energy on scattered efforts, he channels it into building, growing, and achieving. A disciplined woman does not squander her days in endless distractions. She shapes them into stepping stones that lead her where she chooses to go. This focus liberates them from the burden of wandering aimlessly. Discipline is not punishment. It is the key to the door that opens possibilities. It takes the countless hours that others waste and transforms them into fuel for progress. It takes the fleeting wish and molds it into lasting achievement. When practiced daily, discipline becomes less of a burden and more of a companion, guiding you steadily forward. Carving out a life of strength, peace, and true freedom, character is built in private, not in public, because it is in the unseen moments of life where the true foundation of a person is laid. Public life is a stage, a place where words and actions are visible, but private life is the workshop where integrity is shaped and tested. No applause echoes in the quiet rooms where decisions are made, no crowd gathers when a person chooses honesty over deceit, patience over anger, or perseverance over surrender. Yet it is in those moments, hidden from the world's eyes, that character takes form brick by brick, choice by choice. When the spotlight is absent and no one is there to praise or condemn, a person reveals who they truly are. Anyone can perform goodness when the world is watching, but to remain truthful, disciplined, and faithful when no recognition is possible is the essence of real strength. A person who treats others with kindness in private, who holds to principles in the solitude of thought, is the same person who will stand unshaken in the face of public trials. A mask can be worn in public, but masks cannot be maintained forever. What is nurtured in private will eventually surface in the open. Private battles are the ones that forge the deepest steel. The decision to resist temptations that no one would ever know about, the choice to rise early when sleep tempts you to stay in bed, the courage to face your own doubts when encouragement is absent. All these silent victories are unseen, yet they define the quality of character. The private arena is where discipline, honesty, humility, and resilience are tested without witnesses, and because no recognition is at stake, the only measure of success is the standard you hold within yourself. It is in solitude that habits are formed and habits shape destiny. No one sees the hours a craftsman spends refining his skill, the quiet study of the thinker, or the silent prayers of the faithful. Yet these unseen acts create an inner strength that cannot be faked when the world demands proof. What appears effortless in public is always the result of consistent effort behind closed doors. The speech delivered with clarity, the athlete performing with grace, the leader standing with courage, all are fruits of hidden preparation. The paradox of character is that though it is built in private, it is revealed in public. When challenges come, a person cannot summon virtues they never cultivated in silence. Integrity cannot be manufactured in the moment it is needed, it must already exist. woven into the fabric of one's being through countless quiet choices. The man who tells the truth under pressure has practiced truth when no pressure was present. The woman who endures storms with grace has weathered the smaller trials alone, long before anyone knew her name. So the true measure of who you are is not in the way you appear under lights and attention, but in the way you live when no one is there to see. Patience is the builder's greatest tool, because every lasting creation requires time, and nothing of true value comes instantly. The builder knows that foundations must be laid carefully, that each stone must be placed with precision, and that rushing the process risks collapse. In the same way, patience allows a person to endure the slow and often invisible stages of progress, trusting that each effort, though small and unseen, is part of a larger design. Without patience, vision remains a dream that fades into frustration, but with it, vision becomes reality, formed steadily, quietly, and with strength that endures. Patience is not passive waiting, but active perseverance. It is the ability to work diligently without demanding immediate reward, to keep sowing seeds even when the soil looks barren. The farmer understands that planting today does not mean harvesting tomorrow. He waters, he waits, and he tends to the field because he knows growth cannot be hurried. The same truth applies to life. Success, mastery, and fulfillment all demand that we accept the natural rhythm of growth. Patience is the tool that holds us steady in seasons of delay, preventing us from abandoning the work before the fruit arrives. Impatience, on the other hand, destroys progress. It whispers that effort is wasted, that results should have already come, that there must be shortcuts. Those who listen to impatience quit too early, leaving their dreams half-built, their goals half-finished. But patience strengthens resolve. It reminds us that the tallest buildings rise from the deepest foundations, and foundations take time. The builder who is patient is never discouraged by the slow pace, for he measures progress not by speed but by stability. Patience also teaches trust in process. It reveals that while effort is ours, outcomes unfold in their time. The writer who patiently crafts each line, revises each word, eventually produces work that stands the test of time. The athlete who trains patiently, building strength day by day, gains the endurance that separates champions from amateurs. The entrepreneur who waits through seasons of trial, learning, adjusting, and persevering, eventually enjoys the success that impatience would have forfeited. In every field of life, patience is the tool that transforms temporary struggle into lasting achievement. Patience builds character along with results. In waiting and working, a person develops resilience, humility, and wisdom. Quick gains often fade just as quickly, but what is earned with patience endures because it has been tested. The patient builder is not shaken by setbacks because he knows they are part of the process. He does not crave applause at every step, for he understands that recognition comes after the structure is complete. When all other tools fail, when strength is not enough, when talent alone cannot carry the work forward, patience remains. It carries the builder through delay, through difficulty, through doubt. It is patience that allows vision to become structure, effort to become success, and small beginnings to become great endings. Small daily actions compound into greatness, because every achievement that stands tall is built on the quiet repetition of ordinary steps. It is tempting to think greatness is born in moments of sudden brilliance, but in truth, it is the result of steady effort, of decisions made consistently over time. The person who commits to small improvements each day is like a craftsman chiseling away at stone. The progress may appear slow, even invisible at first, but with persistence, the form of something remarkable begins to emerge. Each action, however minor it may seem, carries weight when repeated, and together they create momentum that cannot be stopped. The power of compounding is not limited to money, it governs every area of life. A single act of kindness done once may be forgotten, but kindness practiced daily transforms a character and shapes relationships that endure. Reading a few pages each day may feel insignificant, yet over the course of a year, it becomes books filled with wisdom, and over a lifetime, it becomes a mind enriched beyond measure. Exercising for a short time each morning may feel like nothing in the moment, but over years it becomes health, strength, and vitality. Small actions accumulate quietly until one day they reveal their full effect, and others marvel at the greatness, unaware of the patient work that built it. What makes daily actions powerful is not their size, but their consistency. Anyone can take a bold step once, but it is the man or woman who repeats the step day after day who transforms it into a path. Just as drops of water, falling one after another, can wear away the hardest stone, so small actions, repeated faithfully, reshape the course of a life. Success is not an explosion of effort, it is the gentle persistence of small habits that grow stronger with time. Greatness is rarely a single act, but a collection of countless invisible moments. The writer who produces a masterpiece has written thousands of unseen lines before it. The leader who inspires nations has made thousands of unseen choices to develop discipline, courage, and wisdom. The athlete who breaks records has spent years making the small decision to train when tired, to push when it was easier to rest. Those who seek greatness without honoring the small daily actions are chasing shadows, for they are rejecting the very foundation upon which greatness is built. The beauty of this truth is that greatness is within reach of anyone, because anyone can take a small step today. You do not need to climb a mountain in one leap. You only need to keep walking upward, one step at a time. Each small choice, each deliberate action, adds to the invisible storehouse of progress. One day the world will see the mountain you have built and call it greatness, but you will know it was nothing more than ordinary steps taken faithfully, day after day, until the extraordinary appeared. Self-control is power, because it grants mastery over the one force that determines every outcome in life, yourself. A person may possess talent, intelligence, and opportunity, but without the ability to govern their impulses, those advantages slip away like water through open hands. Self-control is the unseen strength that allows someone to pause before reacting, to choose wisely instead of recklessly, to direct their energy rather than scatter it. It is not a passive quality but an active command, the discipline to say yes to what builds you and no to what destroys you. When mastered, it becomes a shield against distraction, a weapon against temptation, and a compass that keeps you aligned with your highest values. The reason self-control is so powerful is that it determines how consistently you move toward your goals. Success is rarely blocked by external obstacles. More often, it is delayed or destroyed by internal weakness. The urge to quit when progress is slow, the desire for comfort instead of persistence, the craving for immediate gratification over long-term growth, all these forces exist inside every individual. Without self-control, they rule like tyrants. With it, they are tamed and redirected into fuel for growth. The man who controls his appetites controls his future. The woman who governs her emotions governs her destiny. Self-control also creates clarity of mind. When impulses dominate, decisions are clouded and actions are inconsistent. But when self-control prevails, thoughts are sharper, choices are deliberate, and focus becomes unbreakable. It is the strength that allows a student to continue studying when others are distracted, the discipline that enables an athlete to train while others waste time, the restraint that keeps a leader calm while others are driven by panic. In every sphere of life, those who rise highest are those who have learned to control themselves when circumstances press hardest. It is easy to mistake freedom for indulgence, but true freedom is the ability to act without being enslaved by desire or emotion. Self-control is the very root of that freedom. A person who cannot resist unhealthy habits, who cannot manage their anger, who cannot direct their time, is not free at all but bound by chains they placed on themselves. The one who practices self-control, however, is free to live with strength, dignity, and peace, because nothing within them has the power to overthrow their purpose. Every great achievement in history, every act of enduring greatness, has behind it the quiet strength of self-control. The artist who perfected his craft resisted the urge to quit. The thinker who shaped ideas resisted the lure of distraction. The leader who guided nations resisted the temptations of arrogance and despair. Each victory over self built the power to achieve victories in the world. To master yourself is to hold the key to every door that leads forward, for self-control is not only power. It is the foundation upon which all other strengths are built. The less you seek approval, the stronger you become, because strength is not born from the applause of others, but from the assurance you carry within yourself. When you live for recognition, your decisions are shaped by the shifting tides of opinion, and you hand over your power to the judgment of those who may not even understand your vision. Approval is fleeting, changing with moods, trends, and circumstances, but inner conviction is steady, rooted in values and purpose. The one who does not chase approval moves with freedom, acting not to please but to grow, not to impress but to remain true. Such strength is unshakable because it is not dependent on the fragile acceptance of the crowd. When approval becomes the goal, compromise follows. You say yes when you should say no, you follow paths that lead nowhere, and you dilute your uniqueness to fit into molds that were never meant for you. The less you seek it, the more courage you gain to stand apart, to make decisions aligned with who you are rather than what others demand you to be. True independence is forged in the refusal to be governed by outside praise. Every great innovator, leader, and creator has endured misunderstanding, criticism, and resistance. Their strength was not in being applauded but in persisting without it. The pursuit of approval weakens because it divides attention. energy that should be directed toward building character. Sharpening skills and pursuing purpose is wasted on wondering what others think. The less you depend on it, the more energy you reclaim for growth. The artist who creates for expression rather than applause finds a deeper voice. The student who studies for mastery instead of validation discovers lasting knowledge. The professional who works for impact rather than recognition builds a reputation that endures longer than applause. Strength born from independence of thought also creates resilience. When criticism comes, as it always does, the person who does not rely on approval does not break. They measure themselves by their principles, not by the fickle opinions of others. They understand that criticism can be useful, but it is not a verdict on their worth. Approval can encourage, but it is not the foundation of their confidence. By standing on their own values, they become unmovable, calm in the face of rejection, steady in the absence of praise. The paradox of life is that those who stop chasing approval often gain respect. People are drawn to authenticity, to the quiet confidence of someone who is unafraid to stand alone. But even if recognition never comes, the reward is greater than approval. It is strength, freedom, and peace. The less you seek the nods of others, the stronger your character becomes, for strength is never borrowed from the crowd, but forged in the solitude of conviction. Focus beats talent when talent is unfocused, because raw ability without direction is like a river spilling over its banks. It has potential power, but no channel to move with force. Talent may shine in moments, but focus transforms effort into momentum and momentum into mastery. The individual who is focused knows where they are going, and every action becomes a step closer to the destination. Meanwhile, the one who relies solely on talent without discipline wanders, distracted, scattered, unable to harness the very gift they possess. Focus turns ordinary people into achievers, while lack of focus can render even the most gifted ineffective. Talent often gives an advantage at the beginning, but focus decides the outcome in the long run. History is filled with countless examples of talented individuals who faded away because they could not sustain direction, while those with moderate ability but relentless focus rose to greatness. Focus multiplies effort, making small abilities powerful through consistency. The student who concentrates deeply on learning will often surpass the naturally gifted classmate who drifts without purpose. The athlete who stays dedicated to training outlasts the prodigy who wastes energy on distractions. The artist who commits to refining their craft daily will outshine the genius who only creates when inspiration happens to strike. Focus is powerful because it eliminates the unnecessary. It filters out the noise of temptation, procrastination, and comparison, allowing energy to be spent only on what moves you forward. A talented mind scattered across a dozen pursuits will never match the progress of a focused mind drilling deeply into one pursuit. The magnifying glass gathers scattered rays of sunlight into a single point and ignites fire. Focus does the same with effort, turning ordinary energy into extraordinary results. Talent without focus is a wasted promise. It deceives by making success appear easy at first, then abandons its owner when challenges arise. Focus, however, does not depend on ease. It carries you through resistance, through obstacles, through long seasons where nothing seems to change. Focus is steady, and in its steadiness lies power. Talent is a spark. Focus is the hand that builds it into flame and keeps it burning when the winds of difficulty blow. The real strength of focus is that it compounds over time. Hours of concentrated work accumulate into expertise, clarity, and achievement. Each day of focused effort adds another layer of strength, and over months and years, even the smallest edge becomes unstoppable. Talent alone cannot guarantee this, for without focus it is left undeveloped, a dormant seed never planted. Focus plants, waters, and nurtures the seed until it grows into something undeniable. In the end, it is not the one who starts fastest who reaches the finish line first, but the one who never strays from the course. Talent may impress in the short term, but focus wins in the long term, because while talent is a gift, focus is a choice made every day, and that choice determines destiny. Consistency is more important than intensity, because greatness is not built in sudden bursts of effort, but in the quiet repetition of actions that compound over time. Intensity dazzles for a moment, but consistency sustains for a lifetime. A person may work with fierce energy for a day or a week, but without returning again and again to the task, the spark of intensity fades and leaves nothing lasting behind. Consistency, however, creates momentum, and momentum is the force that carries even ordinary efforts to extraordinary outcomes. The one who shows up every day, steadily and faithfully, will always outpace the one who appears occasionally with dramatic effort. The human body illustrates this truth clearly. A single day of extreme exercise will not transform health, but a steady commitment to daily movement reshapes strength, endurance, and vitality. The same is true for the mind. Reading 100 pages in one sitting is less powerful than reading a few pages each day for years, for the steady intake of knowledge shapes understanding in ways intensity never can. Consistency does not seek glory in the moment, it seeks growth across time, and this is why it holds greater power. Intensity is seductive because it feels dramatic and satisfying. It creates the illusion of rapid progress, but progress built only on intensity is fragile. When enthusiasm wanes or obstacles appear, intensity crumbles. Consistency, on the other hand, is quiet and often unimpressive in the short term, but it builds a foundation that nothing can easily shake. It creates discipline, resilience, and habits that continue working even when motivation is absent. Intensity requires inspiration, consistency requires decision. And decisions made daily accumulate into strength that outlasts fleeting excitement. Consistency is also more forgiving, for it embraces imperfection while still moving forward. A person who commits to showing up each day accepts that some days will be strong and others will be weak, but what matters is the continuation of the effort. Intensity demands perfection in bursts, and when perfection fails, the effort often ends. Consistency knows that progress is uneven but certain, that each day of effort, no matter how small, contributes to the greater whole. Every enduring achievement carries the mark of consistency. The master musician did not practice only when inspired, but returned to the instrument daily. The skilled craftsman did not create in a single surge of energy, but refined his art over years of steady labor. The leader who earns trust did not build credibility in one grand gesture, but in countless moments of reliability. Their strength came not from intensity, but from a long obedience to the same direction. The quiet power of consistency lies in its ability to transform effort into identity. When you repeat an action daily, it ceases to be something you do and becomes something you are. That identity fuels further growth, anchoring you in habits that carry you toward mastery. Intensity may ignite, but consistency builds, and in building, it creates results that endure far beyond the fleeting flame of inspiration. Build yourself quietly, and the world will notice loudly, because the deepest transformations always begin in silence, away from recognition and applause. True growth does not announce itself with noise. It works patiently in hidden hours when no one is watching. The habits you form in solitude, the discipline you maintain when no one applauds, the sacrifices you make in private, these are the foundations upon which visible success is built. You do not need to tell the world who you are becoming, for the day will come when your actions and achievements will speak with a volume far greater than words. Quiet building is powerful because it frees you from the need for validation. When you do not depend on recognition, you are able to focus fully on the process, unshaken by opinions or distractions. You are not performing for approval. You are crafting yourself into someone who cannot be ignored once the results emerge. The tree does not shout while it grows underground, but when its roots are strong enough, its branches rise above the earth, undeniable in their presence. So too does your quiet labor eventually manifest into something that commands respect without needing to seek it. The world often sees only the surface, the final product, the polished result. It does not see the late nights of effort, the early mornings of practice, the countless failures turned into lessons. Yet every great achievement carries with it a history of silent preparation. The athlete who wins before a crowd has already won countless battles in empty gyms. The writer whose words touch hearts has already faced hours of solitude wrestling with blank pages. The leader whose voice carries weight has already spent years learning in silence, developing strength of thought and character. Building yourself quietly also gives you resilience, because when progress is not displayed for approval, it becomes deeply personal. You do it for growth, not for praise. You sharpen your mind because knowledge matters to you. You strengthen your body because health matters to you. You discipline your habits because becoming stronger matters to you. When the purpose is internal, the work endures, and when the work endures, results appear inevitably, no matter how long it takes. In time, what was built quietly becomes impossible to ignore. Excellence cannot remain hidden forever. It demands attention through the weight of its presence. People may not know your journey, but they will see your mastery. They may not understand the battles you fought, but they will see the strength you carry. They may not witness your sacrifices, but they will see the life you have shaped. The louder the results, the less you need to explain, because true growth speaks in achievements, in character, in the undeniable mark of someone who built in silence and emerged in strength. The truth is timeless growth does not come through noise, shortcuts, or the search for applause. It comes through discipline, patience, restraint, consistency, focus, humility, and the quiet labor done when no one is watching. Each small daily action, each choice of self-control over impulse, each refusal to seek approval at the cost of your integrity, builds a foundation that cannot be shaken. Talent without focus fades, but consistent effort endures. Intensity burns quickly, but steady progress transforms lives. The world may not notice your private battles or silent victories today, but one day, your results will speak so loudly that no explanation will be needed. Build yourself quietly, and you will rise with strength, dignity, and freedom, for true greatness is never declared, it is revealed.